Hey everyone! So today we are going to be reading for What Are Your Talents? So this was actually requested under my last video, but it was requested under the version of my last video that needed to be deleted so I could re-upload it without a glitch that happened during the uploading process. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be, as of right now, I am planning on uploading every Monday and Thursday, which means that this video is meant to go up on Monday. If it's not up on Monday, it means that I've already failed. But as of right now, I am planning on uploading every Monday and Thursday. Hopefully, planning it ahead of time will help alleviate the problems that led to there being a glitch in the video. Sorry about that, everyone who had to see that, and thank you to everyone who let me know that there was an issue with the video so I could fix it. I really appreciate that. So, anyway, yes, we are reading for What Are Your Talents? There are going to be 4 groups today. Group 1 is going to be the 5 of Clubs. Don't mind my jank nails, by the way. I'm literally doing them right after this reading. Pile 2 is going to be the Jack of Clubs. And pile 3 is going to be the 9 of Spades. And pile 4 is going to be the 6 of Hearts. So that is the 5 of Clubs for pile 1, the Jack of Clubs for pile 2, the 9 of Spades for pile 3, and the 6 of Hearts for pile 4. For the collective, I've got the 2 of Hearts. So you're very loving people. Already your talent is that you make people feel very, very loved. You make people feel very at home. And I'm getting that everyone does that in a different way. I'm definitely getting that it's not motherly loving for all of you, or like welcoming committee loving for all of you. But one of your talents is that people love you. You're very, very good at getting people to love you. Oh, I have such a sweet collective. So again, for pile 1, we've got the 5 of Clubs. For pile 2, we've got the Jack of Clubs. For pile 3, we've got the 9 of Spades. And for pile 4, we've got the 6 of Hearts. I feel like the piles are usually black suits. Like, it's rare to get red suits. Alright, and starting with pile 1 with the 5 of Clubs. So already I'm getting that I'm getting lucky in competition. Like, you guys are very, very lucky in competition. The 5 of Clubs is indicative of the 5 of Wands, and I keep wanting to say the 5 of Spades, which is also indicative of the 5 of Swords. You guys are, it feels almost like a luck thing. Yeah, the star popped out right when I said that. It feels almost like a luck thing, but I get the feeling that it's much more talent than luck, especially since this is a reading on talents, right? When you are placed in competition settings, you always come out on top. People, definitely the pile that people want to place their bets on. You come out on top even when odds are heavily stacked against you. I'm getting even that it might be a part of your like general reputation that you do best when your back's pressed up against the wall and like the odds are heavily stacked against your favor, or that you have proven yourself to do amazing regardless of the circumstances already at this point in your life. The star is really, it's really public energy. There's a really public energy about the star card. So especially if you've gone through really public challenges. I'm getting like some of you might have had some really serious financial destitution even moments. I'm getting I'm getting some of you might have had issues with your housing, with steady housing. Some of you might have had issues with steadily keeping a job or steadily keeping up with your schoolwork. Something very public that ultimately ended with people underestimating you. I'm getting the sense that people were heavily proven wrong and were made to eat their words in a very, very public manner. Like you came back and you came back swinging from a very, very rough circumstance. I'm not sure if you guys can hear my cat. Like, please don't mind. All right. Now, what can we know about what your talents are? We've got the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, strong restarting energy, very fresh energy here. People have definitely seen you bounce back from probably more than one really, really bad circumstance, possibly at a time even. Um, because this is a reading specifically on what your talents are, this all means that you are very talented at bouncing back. You are incredibly, this is a pattern. This is a repeated pattern that you have established for yourself, that like when the odds are stacked against you, you flourish. When you're in really, really bad circumstances that other people would cave under, you find a way to make beautiful things happen. This Ace of Pentacles is always really interesting to me because there's something very desolate about it. There's the one rose that's kind of the only foliage there. And the sheep almost looks sad because the sheep's not going to eat the rose. That was a huge worry of the princes in the story, even whether or not his sheep would eat his rose. The sheep isn't going to eat the rose. So the lack of extra greenery there actually indicates that the sheep is looking for food and having a hard time finding it. Usually the Ace of Pentacles is a very, very lush card. There's a lot of greenery in the background of it. This Ace of Pentacles specifically indicates more of a starting from scratch energy. There's something very springtime about it, with all of the barren trees in the background. Like there's something very dead of winter about it, early springtime. You're very, very good at rising from the ashes. You're very, very good at pulling yourself back up after terrible, terrible circumstances. And people have seen you do it over and over and over again, to the point where it can't be a fluke. It's not something that you did once. It's not something that you did twice. It's clearly something that you are very good at. It's something that you have a certain talent about you for, to make something out of nothing, to create things out of nothing, kind of like how spring comes about immediately after the dead of winter. And we've got the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is a lamplighter here. You are very bright. You're very vibrant. I'm getting very sunrise. There's something very springtime about you. You are a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. You have the talent of making things. You don't just make something out of nothing, like in the actual physical realm. You're also very good at making something out of nothing as far as like figuratively goes. Like a bad situation you can spin on its head and turn into something great. You're very, very optimistic. Even if you don't feel that way about yourself, other people find you to be so optimistic, especially seeing as your background seems to say that you've gone through really, really tough times. You've gone through some really, really tough stuff. And despite that, you've come out on top. Despite that, you are still swinging and you are still actively trying to better yourself. It's it's more than just a talent even. It's such an admirable like personality or characteristic about a person. Like a lot of people admire this about you. It's very admirable. People really really wish that they had this kind of quality about themselves, because I think for a lot of people they feel like it's something that you were born with. It doesn't seem like something that you grew or cultivated over time, which I feel probably isn't true. If you've been through lots of bad things in your life, you probably have cultivated this sort of stick-to-itiveness, this sort of this sort of resilience, basically. This belief in yourself even in the worst circumstances, because you've gone through circumstances and situations where if you didn't believe in yourself there would be literally no one to believe in you. So of course you had to believe in yourself, otherwise you wouldn't have pulled through. And we've got the Three of Cups. And so the Knight of Wands is indicative of Sagittarius energy. Between the Sagittarius energy there and the Three of Cups energy here, you're very personable, you're really popular, you have a real talent with people. I think I mentioned this in a little earlier. People find you to be like just sunrise. People find you to be a breath of fresh air in their lives. Like you're so magnetic in this very very bright sunny way. I'm getting strong Leo vibes. There's something very fiery about the energy here. People have a hard time not looking at you. People have a hard time not gravitating towards you. There's something kind of like the sun, like people just gravitate towards you. You pull people into your orbit very, very naturally. And the Hierophant. And you're very intelligent. I'm getting studious even. If you're a student now, there's a possibility that you have to, even if you are not a student now, there's a strong sense here that you might have had a harder time at school than other people. Not in the sense of, like, I'm getting that you did well, but it was harder for you to do well than it would have been for your peers to do well, basically, regardless of the circumstance, whether that's because there were certain circumstances at home that made it more difficult for you to keep up with your schoolwork, or if there were certain like health circumstances that made it more difficult for you to keep up with your schoolwork. Like I'm definitely getting the sense here that historically you have been known to be very very studious, specifically because you had to be a little bit more intense about your studies than the people around you for them to work out in the way and to the extent that they worked out for you. And the Nine of Wands, capping off that five line. Yeah, I had to count the cards there. Capping off the five line, the Nine of Wands is indicative of that. It's that weathered energy of having gone through a whole lot. It's that same energy that we are talking about at the very beginning of your reading, where you have probably been through multiple very, very public circumstances where people have seen you really have to pull yourself together and really have to support yourself. There's the possibility that you've gone through some really public betrayals. um I'm If that's the case, know that the people who betrayed you definitely regret it, and the people who are in your life now can't even understand why the people before them betrayed you. Like, you are so popular and so magnetic. You have this energy that is just so magnetic. There's something just so magnetic about your energy. And people love being pulled into your orbit. People love being in your gravitational field. Like, it's very difficult for them to understand why, especially if you are someone who like keeps yourself back now, like you try to keep like some distance between yourself and the other people in your life. It's really difficult for people who are in your life to understand how anyone could hurt you after getting a chance to be close to you, because I get the feeling that there are a lot of people who would do so much to be close to you, especially with the Three of Cups right at the center of your reading. It's incredibly indicative of the fact that you are very popular. People look up to you a ton. People admire you a lot. There's a lot of admiration coming through in your reading. The Hierophant is also indicative of, in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, it is a literal religious figure that people are actually looking up to, right? Like apostles are actually looking up to. Like, people admire you a ton. There's a ton of admiration coming through in this reading because you just hold yourself really well. I do get the sense here that you are the Knight of Wands speaks of adventurous, but the Hierophant speaks of like calculation. You're very calculated in the risks that you take, and they pay off for you. You are I think I mentioned it at the very beginning of your reading with the Five of Wands energy there. There's something like very competitive about that energy. You're very calculating in the risks that you take, and they pay off very well, regardless of what field you find yourself in, because it's a very broad energy here. Regardless of the aspect of your life, there's a sense that you come out on top, and people admire it a ton. People find it to be so admirable that you always come out on top in your life in almost every aspect. No one can downplay the work that you put in either. The Nine of Wands speaks of like hard work, hard won wins. Like, no one can downplay the amount of work that you've put in. No one can downplay. And I think it's interesting that the 5 line starts with an ace and ends with a 9. Like, there's definitely the sense here that you move really quickly. You upgrade and progress through life really quickly. You're definitely the kind of person who is really into self-betterment, and I get the sense here of someone who is really honest with themselves about who they are and where they need to expand and where they need to grow and where they need to continue to grow in their life. And people find that to be really admirable. It's part of what helps you expand at such a significant rate. Like, you're really honest with yourself about where you need to grow. And because of that, you know where to focus your growth. And we've got the Devil card at the bottom of the deck. The Devil is indicative of Capricorn. So Capricorn is really long-standing energy. Again, with this sense of like you're capable of putting in the work. You're capable of being there for the long haul, and you're capable of pulling yourself up every time that things might fail, every time that things maybe don't go exactly the way that you wanted them to go. You're capable of taking a breath, pulling yourself together, and pulling everything and like reorganizing, basically. Reorganizing is a strong word that comes through here, actually, because I do get the sense that you're a really, really good problem solver. You've had to be in your life. Going back to the idea that like in your formative years it was harder for you than it was for your peers to be like studious, to be a student, or to be in, it was harder for you in your formative years, basically. Going back to that point, like, you are you've had to continue to fight through things to see success. So now it's just a part of who you are to constantly power through regardless of your circumstances, right? The Devil card speaks of chains and bondage, but it also speaks of passion. I get the feeling that because of the restrictions that were put on you very early on, you learned how to fire yourself up and motivate yourself to continue moving forward. Again, with this energy that at one point or another in your life, you had to understand and recognize that if no one was going to be there for you, you were going to have to show up for yourself. And instead of letting that break you, you let it make you into someone so much more powerful, because you're so capable of being self-motivated and you're so capable of pushing yourself through really, really low points in your life where other people would have a hard time even getting out of bed in the morning. It's not that you don't have a hard time at those times in your life. It's just that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? Like when times are tough, it's just motivation for you to be tougher. Strong Leo energy. There's a whole lot of Leo energy here. You are very, very, and I think what it is that there's very strong sun energy. There's something very bright and sunny about you and about the energy that surrounds you. People gravitate towards you literally like sunshine after a long winter. All right. What more can we know about your talents? Right? And that's the Otter. Cute, well-liked, popular, clever, and fast thinker. Yeah, very, very well-liked. You're very, very popular. People find you to be so people find you to be the perfect mate. Basically, like regardless of whether that's romantic or platonic, obviously there's a strong leaning on romantic there. People find you to be the ideal mate. People think that you would be the perfect partner. Otters are also like they're known for holding hands with their partners so they don't float away from each other when they sleep. People they fantasize about like having cute moments with you. People think that locking you down would be a gift, basically. There's definitely a lot of people. I get almost the energy of someone who has like fans. If you're an influencer at all, if you're someone who has like a decent following on social media, or if you're someone who works in the public eye at all, there's definitely the sense here that you have fans, that there are people who imagine these kinds of things with you, who would really like having like a solid, consistent relationship with you. And we've got the brown bears. Intelligent, inventive, and protective. So intelligent, inventive, clever, and fast thinker between these two cards. You're very smart. You're very, very smart. And more than smart, you have very quick wit. You're an excellent problem solver. You're very, very good at thinking on your feet. Again, people have likely seen you have to solve crazy problems out of nowhere, and they've been shocked at how well you've thought on your feet and how well you've managed yourself under intense pressure. Again, with the energy, I think I mentioned it earlier, of someone who thinks best almost when their back is pressed up against a wall. Like when there's pressure on you is almost when you operate best. You are incredibly talented at thinking under pressure, and you are incredibly talented at problem solving in really tight situations with almost nothing to go off of. The kind of person who can make something out of absolutely nothing. And we've got the hummingbird, athletic, free-spirited, and pretty. Aww. Pretty and cute between the otter and the hummingbird. There's something very lighthearted about your energy, something very fun and youthful about your energy. Youthful, that's part of why people think that you'd be such a great partner too, because you bring a sense of fun and freshness to everything that you do. People are always looking and waiting to see, especially if you are an influencer, especially if you are someone who works in the public eye, if you're a creative of any sort. People are always waiting for what you'll put out next. People are really, really excited to see what you'll do next, because there's definitely the sense here of like a trendsetter. You set trends in the aspects and the areas that you work and operate in. We've got the ram. Stubborn and thick-headed, confrontational and territorial. Right back to the competitive streak, though. No one would want to go up against you. Because wrapping back around to what we were saying at the beginning, you're the kind of person that people would put their bets on. Not just because there's the sense here that you're kind of lucky, but mostly because people know that it's not luck. It's not luck that's gotten you so far in your life. No one can accuse you of having ridden any kind of wave of luck because, again, part of what would qualify you as being lucky is the fact that you are so capable of pushing through bad things happening to you. You are very, very stubborn. Very stubborn, thick-headed in the sense of stubborn, definitely. You're very, very stubborn, and I get the sense that that's part of why you're such a good problem solver, because instead of giving up on ideas, you think your way around them. Strong mountain card and Lenormand energy. The mountain speaks of problems that you have to work your way around or work your way over. You can't just bear them and get through them. You have to like actually figure out a way around them, problem solve about them. You are a problem solver. That's definitely one of your biggest talents, that you are a problem solver. And especially if you have a really specific like if you are an artist of any sort, or if you're an influencer, like if you work in a very specific niche, basically, like if you're in business, if you work in stocks, you are like you're top at your job. Like people look to you for advice at what you do. You are the trendsetter for your job. People definitely think that you're on the cutting edge of everything that you do. And we've got the tiger sharks. Chronically underestimated, snappy, and unhealthy habits. Yeah, especially if you are in business, there's the sense of like, because sharks are literally a term that people are called when they're great at business, right? When they're ruthless in business. Like, especially if you're in business of any sort, people look up to you people look up to you and try to clock what you do to add to what they do, basically. People definitely think that you are the person to beat and also the person to take notes on. This is also, as a side note, if you are someone who, between the ram and the tiger shark, if you are someone who gets really caught up in your work, like you can forget to eat, or you can forget to drink, or you can forget to sleep, like if you're someone who prioritizes your work over everything else and it can really negatively impact your health, this is your sign and your notice to focus on your health. You need to start focusing more on your health. You're definitely being given sign to focus on your health. There's no career in the world that'll be worth giving your health to. Absolutely none. You're being guided to focus on your health at this moment in time. And we've got the Mina bird. Loud, obnoxious, and opinionated. If you're in communications, people find you to be, even if you're not in communications, you're just the person to beat. Like, there's a strong sense of competition that follows you. You're definitely the person to beat. People definitely look to you as being the person to knock off the top. Coming back around to that ram energy, yeah, you're the person that people feel they need to knock off the top to get to the top, basically. It's really interesting energy. I'm getting that a lot of you work in or are in very competitive fields, or find yourself in very competitive situations. Even if you're not in a competitive like career or anything like that, there's a sense that people find reasons to compare themselves to you. Like people are regularly comparing themselves to your progress and regularly comparing themselves to how you're doing in life, and it never goes very well for them. Like it's part of why that sense of competition follows you around. That part of why people are constantly comparing themselves to you and competing with you is because they notice that everyone else around them does it too. You're just that kind of energy is like it gravitates towards Leos too. Like there's something about being the sun that makes people want to compare themselves to you, and when they feel outshone, sometimes people respond very negatively to that. And we've got pleasure seekers. Yeah, pleasure seekers is it speaks almost of like it literally indicate it's literally indicated by three intoxicated men like courting someone at their window, right? Like you draw eyes, you're very, very magnetic. And when you're in rooms of people who are insecure with themselves, that makes them so, so upset. Like when you're around people who can't help but compete with other people in the area, you are just the worst. Like it makes people so upset because you're not even trying to win, but you end up winning. And there's something so effortless about how you do it. And we've got the journey. But the thing that people don't understand is that it's not effortless. Like part of why people are so drawn to you is because you have really been through a lot in your life, and you hold yourself like someone who has been through a lot in your life. You hold yourself like someone who knows that you can weather any storm because you've weathered tons of storms at this point. Like you hold yourself so well and you hold yourself so strongly, and that's part of why people are so drawn to you. That's part of why people want to know more about you. There's something so mysterious about you, something so inviting about you. The word inviting comes to mind. Like people are really drawn to you. And when there are people around you who are insecure in themselves and in their own ability to draw other people, they can't help but compare themselves to you. And we've got the house and prison. Yeah, prison. And it really traps people. Like the house speaks of like outside looking in energy. Again, these people can't see the work that you put in on the inside. They can't see all of the self work that you've done. They can't see all of the effort it takes to really sit with yourself and be totally honest about yourself. All of the work it takes to really look yourself in the mirror and be honest about who you are and what you're capable of and where you need to grow in your life. Like they don't see that. Instead, they think that it's something that just comes naturally to you and it eats at them. They don't understand that if they tried, they could get to the kind of self enlightenment that you are at. They could get to the kind of confidence that you're working with. You might not even be super confident. It doesn't matter. You come off as so confident, and people assume that people assume that it's real. People assume that you are confident because they've seen you do so much in your life. They've seen you overcome so much and get through so much. And we've got the messenger. Expect confirmation about how much people look up to you, by the way. I do get the sense that some of you might not realize just how just how much people admire you. I think that for some of you, you may focus so much on yourself and self-improvement personally that you don't notice how much people are looking up to you, and you don't notice how much people are actively wishing that they could be you and do what you do. And if you've been having a hard time recently, like really, really grasping the value of yourself, if you've been having issues with self-worth lately, if you've been having issues with your self-esteem recently, trust that there's going to be some kind of confirmation that you are worth so much more than you even realize, and people value you so much more than you could even understand. It's coming in. I'm right outside of holiday season right now. So within the next season, like actual physical season, winter, summer, autumn, spring, within the next season that you're sitting out of, because this reading is timeless, expect some sort of gift. Expect confirmation of your worth in the form of some kind of gift coming to you. And we've got the letter at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, expect some kind of confirmation of your worth, especially if you have been having a hard time really, really seeing just how valuable you are recently. Expect confirmation of your worth soon. Expect confirmation of just how many people look up to you and value you soon. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you today. I hope it was fun. I hope it was enlightening. I hope it was entertaining. I will see you next time. Bye. All right, and we are on pile number 2 with the Jack of Clubs. Already there's something really adventurous about this group. Something very hard to pin down or cage. You value your freedom quite a bit. And I have a feeling that part of your talents, a big part of your talents, is that you're very creative. Your creativity comes really naturally and very organically. It's not hard for you to think of new ideas, especially if you work or operate in creative fields. It's not hard for you to think of your next idea or what you're gonna do next. I get the sense of a trendsetter, someone who often imitated, never duplicated. Basically, you may have had issues with people copying your creative ideas in the past or copying your ideas in the past and trying to take credit for it, possibly getting credit for it even. All right. What more can we know about what your talents are? Real outside of the box thinking already. You're someone who's really good at thinking of outside of the box solutions to problems. It comes with being creative, frankly. When you think of ideas, it's very easy for you to not just think of the idea, but to think of how you're going to make that idea a reality. Like the steps from 2 of Wands energy with like actual visualization and planning to 3 of Wands energy with actual doing and working it all out. It's very easy for you. It's very smooth for you. There's almost no transition for you. It comes very organically for you. It happens very naturally for you. And we've got the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, and the Ace of Pentacles, very strong manifestation energy there. Very lush manifestation energy there. The Ace of Pentacles is the strongest ace in relation to physical, real world manifestation. There's strong magician energy with this pile too, like already. There's a sense that you're very, very good at making your ideas a reality. You're really good at making the things that you think about actually happen on the physical plane. You have a real talent for that. And the High Priestess. And it's because you follow your intuition. 1 to 2 with the progression there. You follow your intuition and it pays off. You have very, very strong intuition and you follow it very... It's likely that you've gotten used to following your intuition almost blindly at this point because it always pays off for you. Like it's almost like a second eye at the... Second eye. It's almost like a third eye at this point, where you can just trust it to lead you in the right direction the exact same way you can trust your own eyes when they show you things. You know what I mean? And the King of Wands. The King of Wands is strong Leo energy, and the High Priestess is strong Cancer energy. With the astrological twins there, you're very well balanced. And that shows too in the fact that you're very good at both thinking of things and making those thoughts reality. There's something very, very well balanced about you and very, very well balanced about how you operate in your life and with the things around you. There's a sense that you are you have very good karma. There's a sense that you have very good karma. You operate very well in life and you're a very kind person and a very good person, and the things that you put out into the world come back to you because of it. And the 6 of Swords energy. And it's because you're good at moving forward regardless of how tough things can be. Like, you don't let bad things or bitter times make you bitter or bad. You face bad times with a lot of grace, and you face bad times with a lot of optimism. The the Six of Swords is traditionally depicted by a boatsman taking hooded figures away from one dangerous shore to another calmer shore. You are very good at picking yourself up and taking yourself, like, healing yourself almost. There's a sense that you're very good at healing yourself. It's not that bad things don't happen to you. It's that when bad things happen to you, you're really good at taking the time to heal yourself. Even when you don't have that time, even when it needs to be something quick, you're really good at licking your own wounds and healing yourself. You don't need help. Like, it sounds almost unhealthy, but like it's just that you are a very independent person and you're very good at taking care of yourself. And because you're so good at taking care of yourself, you don't let yourself linger on bad thoughts. You don't let yourself linger in bad mental spaces. You don't need someone else to tell you that you need to move forward, and you need to actually remove yourself from that kind of thought and situation. And we've got the Three of Swords. And people are really, really jealous of that, by the way. The Three of Swords is indicative of a certain amount of heartbreak energy and jealousy. The way that the rose is trapped in the swords there are people who are so jealous of this ability of yours to pick yourself up and to continue moving forward and continue being optimistic regardless of the circumstances that you're going through. And I get the sense that you are such a good person, like you're such a kind, generous, nice person, that it makes people feel almost guilty to harbor that level of jealousy towards you. Like, I do get the sense here that you're the kind of person that, like, people, you might have had issues with people, like, trying to make up reasons almost to, like, dislike you. Like, you might have had issues in the past where it feels almost like people are trying to find reasons to dislike you. If that's the case, it's jealousy. And I know that, like, that's the cop-out answer almost, but, like, that's just the reality. Like, if that's the case, if it feels like people are literally just making up reasons to dislike you, it's because they're jealous of you. And a lot of these people, they're aware that they're hating. Like, a lot of these people, they feel a certain level of guilt about how they feel towards you and how they act towards you, because you're a really kind, generous person. Like, you're a very nice person. And feeling angry at you for being optimistic in bad times, and then angry at you for getting good things when, like, life is good for you, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's very clear to a lot of people that they're just hating, including themselves. And the Queen of Wands. Between the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands, that's doubling down on the fact that you're very well balanced. Internally, you're very well balanced. And it also confirms the fact that people find you to be very physically attractive. Like, it's not necessarily fair to say that one of your talents is that you're, like, very, very attractive, but that's definitely what's coming through. That, like, one of your talents is that you're a very attractive person. Like, you put your best foot forward. Definitely, there's a sense here that you put your best foot forward. You don't, like, honestly, you might not find yourself to be the most optimistic person. Even that might be another way that you put your best foot forward. Like, you might not find yourself to be the most optimistic person, but the people around you, they think that you are constantly looking on the bright side of things, because you're not the kind of person who will, like, let people in on how you're feeling. You're not the kind of person who, when you're, like, in a terrible mood or you're feeling really down about yourself, you go looking for other people to talk to about that, or you go looking for other people to, like, try to, like, bounce ideas off of. You're someone who's very, very self-regulated, and somebody who, again, like I was saying earlier, when you need to heal, you're very good at healing internally. You're very good at doing that work for yourself, right? And so there's this sense that you don't let other people see you when you're feeling weak. You don't let other people see you when you're feeling really, really down. You put your best foot forward. And people take that as constantly being optimistic. People take that as constantly looking on the bright side of things. The same way that people take you always looking good as you just naturally looking good. You're someone who just always looks good because it's simple for you to always look good. And that might be the case for you. I don't know. But there is definitely the possibility that that's not the case for you. You do put in work to looking good. You just make it look absolutely effortless. You make looking good look so easy that people assume that you don't have to try. Lots of fire energy here too, between the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. That's Aries and Leo energy here. You're definitely someone that rides at the head of the pack. You don't let anything get you down. The Jack of Clubs, your group card, is also indicative of Sagittarius energy. So all three of the fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo, there's strong fire energy here. You are very, very physically attractive, and people are very, very physically attracted to you. That is not really a talent, but if it were a talent, it is a talent that you have. People are incredibly physically attracted to you. And we've got the Dove, innocent and pure, well-loved and well-sought-after, romantic. Yeah, well-loved and well-sought-after. People are very, very, very attracted to you. I'm also getting with innocent and pure more of the fact that, like, again, you're someone who constantly looks on the bright side of things. You're someone who... There are times where people can almost see it as being, like, naive. Like, and that's where I'm getting, like, these situations where, like, it's not that you're being naive. It's not that you're being overly optimistic. It's just that, like, you don't like letting people see you sweat. You're not someone who enjoys letting people see you being negative. You're not someone who likes being negative out loud. You might not like being someone who likes speaking that kind of thing into the universe, because I'm definitely getting a strong spiritual vibe with the High Priestess card. The High Priestess card is also indicative of not just a talent with intuition, but like you might be a card reader. You might be someone who reads tarot. You might be a diviner. You might be someone who works in spirituality or someone who practices spirituality. If that's the case, you're very gifted there. You have very, very strong spiritual gifts. If you haven't looked into spirituality, you might want to try it. There's definitely the sense here that you have the capacity to have very, very strong spiritual gifts, especially if you already feel that you have a strong sense of intuition, or you're someone who's really good at being guided by your intuition. And we've got the Panther, exotically beautiful, mesmerizing, powerful, and athletic. Again, you're just very, very attractive. You're a very, very attractive person. People find you to be very attractive. And it's so funny because since this is a talent reading, there are people who consider this to be a talent of yours. People assume that, like, people assume that there has to be some kind of trick to it. There has to be some kind of whether it's magic behind it, or whether you have some kind of, like, secret formula to how you look so good all the time. People are just so mesmerized and so caught off guard by the fact that you are someone who constantly looks good, and you're someone who's constantly putting your best foot forward. People don't understand how you can always be doing that. Like, people don't understand how that can be you all the time. In fact, there's the sense that there are people, especially people who try to think of ways and reasons to dislike you, who assume that it's some kind of front, who assume that you can't possibly be as good as you say you are. You can't not even say you are, because I don't think that you say that you're very good. I think that people just I think that you're just kind of great, and people pick up on that, but people assume that you can't possibly be as good as you come off. There has to be some sort of secret. There has to be some sort of like back door or like trap door or something hidden underneath the surface. It's it's unfortunate, the vibe that comes up, because these people are really obvious in the fact that they're just hating and they're jealous. Like, even I get the sense that for a lot of these people, they can't even talk to the people in their life about this. If they could at one point, they no longer can, because it just comes off as so obvious. It comes off as so incredibly obvious that they're just hating and they're just being really, really jealous. They're letting their jealousy get the best of them. And we've got elephant, intelligent, intuitive, and nurturing. Strong intuition again. And elephants are renowned for having like great memory too. You're definitely someone who, if you get a bad vibe off of someone, I don't think you're likely to like let your guard down around that person. I do get the sense that especially if people are actively jealous around you quite a bit, like I get the sense that you've had issues with people being not so great to you. So like when you get bad vibes off of people, you have a hard time like letting your guard down around them. And I get the sense that that's paid off in the past. Like, one of your talents is that you're really, really good at reading people. At this point, you've got a really, really, really good read on people. Both logically, like, you're logically very good at deducing what people are thinking and how people are behaving. And intuitively, you've got a really good grasp on, like, how people are acting intuitively towards you. You know what I mean? Like, I do get the sense that you're the kind of person who, if someone's sending you evil eye, whether they know it or not, whether they're doing it on purpose or not, you can kind of tell who's sending it to you when it starts happening. And we've got brown bears. Solitary, misunderstood, glutton. Solitary and misunderstood. Yeah. Definitely the sense of someone who, because of bad things that have happened to you in the past, you keep a distance between yourself and other people now. Like, one of your talents is that you are very, very good at reading people, but because you are so good at reading people, it's very easy for you to accidentally find yourself in, like, I don't want to say lonely situations, because I do get the sense here that you're someone who's really good at being alone. Like, you're someone who isn't afraid to be alone. You're someone who doesn't have to be the center of attention all the time. And that's probably at least partially, because when you want attention, you can get attention. Like, you are far too just flat out attractive to not be the kind of person who can get attention when you want attention. I don't necessarily think that it's lonely. I think that you can maybe have some difficulty trusting people sometimes. And the fact that you are really good at reading people and you can tell when people don't have the best intentions towards you off the bat, it doesn't help, because if people's intentions aren't super clear off the bat, it can make you kind of wary towards them. What more can we know? That was already flipped over. Werewolf. Transformative, athletic and virile, loyal and protective. So, there was another athletic in here somewhere. Yeah, with the panther. Powerful and athletic and virile. So, you have a very nice body. Regardless of what kind of body you have a very, very nice body. I do get the sense that you work for it. If you don't put in a whole lot of work to keeping your body looking super great, it looks like you do. People definitely think that you do. People think that you come off as someone who's very, very healthy. You come off as someone who is in very, very good health, basically. And you come off as someone very, very... People would like to get to know you intimately, basically. There are people who would very much like to get to know you intimately. And we've got vampire. Energy leeching, sadistic, and promiscuous. Be careful. Coming out immediately after saying that there are people who want to know you intimately. Be careful. See, it's stuff like that. Like, I get it. There's a sense here that if you can't get a good read off of people's intentions towards you right away, you shut them off. Like, you shut the whole thing down because you've had people be just terrible towards you in the past. You've had really bad experiences with people in the past. Which is definitely sad because with the loyal and protective with the werewolf, and elephant too. Elephants are super well known for being incredibly loyal animals. There's a sense that you would be a very, very good partner in any case, in any situation, like whether that is romantic or not. Like, you would be a very, very good partner. People definitely feel that you would be a very, very good partner, especially romantic. There's no denying that. People feel that you would be excellent to get to know intimately. And so there is a sense here that you would be an excellent partner, and part of it is because you're really loyal to your own ideas, and you're really loyal to your own sense of like balance, and you're good at being loyal to yourself. So it would not be difficult for you. It is not difficult for you to be loyal to other people when you care about them. It's super unfortunate that you've had people take advantage of that in the past, because it still comes out as being a strong talent of yours, like not just a trait of yours, but a talent of yours, that you are capable of being so loyal to people despite the fact that you have been treated maybe with not the same respect in the past. Now, what more can we know about what your talents are? And we've got consolation. Yeah, you're really good at making people feel better too. Like, consolation as in like literally consoling someone, right? Like, you're very, very good at making people feel better about themselves. You're very good at making people feel you're very good at making people feel good. I think at the very beginning of this reading, when I was doing the collective, I mentioned the Two of Cups as the Two of Hearts, indicative of the Two of Cups, as the collective, and making people feel loved. Like, this is a very, very, very straightforward version of that. Like, you're very good at making people feel loved in moments when they are maybe not feeling the best about themselves. And we're wrapping back around to the fact that, like, karmically, you have a whole lot of good positive karma saved up, because you're a very good person despite the fact that you've been through maybe not the best experiences with other people, despite the fact that people have maybe not treated you the best in your past. You are still capable of just being so loving, and you are still capable of showing other people so much love. It's a genuine talent. It's coming across here, in fact, in this reading, as a genuine talent. I think because you might need the reminder recently that it really is this amazing quality to be someone who can be done dirty by other people and still be capable of showing people kindness and compassion, still be capable of being empathetic towards other people, still be capable of being sympathetic towards other people. Like, you're someone who is really good at making people feel better about themselves, and you're really good at making people feel comforted in moments of really profound grief and really profound stress. And it's a really big talent of yours. You might be someone who's very good with your words too. That might be another talent of yours. You might be someone who's very, very good at verbally calming people down and verbally making people feel like validated. And we've got thief. And what I got right there, by the way, right when I pulled that, in this specific card, consolation is depicted by an angel coming by and giving that man like an actual bundle of cash. There's this sense here that you are that bundle of cash almost. Like, you make people feel like $1,000,000. You make people feel so much better. When I pulled thief right then, it comes out as the fact that when you leave people's lives, because I do get the sense that you have left people's lives, when you leave people's lives, it's like you take all of that with you. Like, there are people who are facing profound karma right now, people who are facing really, really bad circumstances right now because they did you dirty and they deserve it. And there's no other way to put it. Like, it's unfortunate, but there's no other way to put that. They've done you wrong. They did someone who definitely did not deserve what they did to them wrong, and they're getting karmatic payback for it now. When you left these people's lives, you took everything good that you brought into their lives with you. And whether it was right away or whether it took a second for it to happen, everything good that you brought into their lives, you took with you when you left. And I don't think these people recognized just how much good you brought into their lives. Like, I don't think they really understood just how much of the good things in their lives were brought to them by this amazing person that they treated really badly, that they did like really bad things to, who didn't deserve it. Know that if there were people who stole your joy, know that if there were people who stole from you literally, like if there were people who literally took actual physical things from you, know that they are facing karmatic justice for it right now. Know that they did not get away with it. They're not getting away with being a horrible person to you. They're facing karmatic justice for it right now. And we've got constancy. While you are standing firm, constancy is all about being able to stand firm, this ability to move forward even in the worst of circumstances, this ability to continue to smile through all of the worst things that are happening to you. I think I mentioned it earlier, you have this ability to put your best foot forward. You have this ability to put a smile on despite the horrible circumstances that you might be going through. And that consistency, it leads to rewards, like that ability to stay consistent. And consistency in the literal sense too. I get the sense here that you're someone who, even when you are doing really badly in your personal life, you don't let that affect other areas of your life. Like when you're doing poorly in one area of your life, or when one area of your life isn't doing as great as you would like, you don't let that go through and affect other areas of your life. So you don't bring your work home with you. You're not someone who, if you're having a really hard time personally, you don't let that affect the work when you go to work. You're not someone who, if you're having like a really tough time, I'm getting almost, especially if you're a creative of some sort, you don't let things like depression stop you from creating. And don't get me wrong, depression is a horrendous thing, and if it stops you from creating, especially if it stops you from creating, that is a totally, totally normal thing. But the fact that it's totally normal for it to stop people is part of why it's a talent for you to not be stopped by it. Like, the fact that you are capable of being consistent in your work and being consistent in how you operate and how you perform, despite all of the things that might be happening to you or with you personally, it's a huge talent of yours. And we've got enemy. And people are really jealous of that. It's so crazy. Because these cards have been split down the middle exactly. And I feel like your reading has also been split very succinctly down the middle between talking about how great you are and talking about how that makes people so uncomfortable. Like, look at how the thief is eyeing that bag of money coming to that person. The way that people lost all of the good that you brought to their life when you left it. The way that like a thief literally came and stole all of the good that you brought to these people's lives when you left their lives. Look at the way that the enemy is staring at the woman in constancy from behind that tree. Like, these people still watch you. These people, all of the people that you've kicked out of your life, all of the people that you've moved on from, they still watch you. It doesn't matter if you haven't thought about them in ages. They still watch you. They are still very attached to your memory. And for a lot of these people, it's because they really want to convince themselves that this isn't karmatic justice happening to them. If they can find out that you are also having a bad time in life, that it's not just them, then maybe it means that you both did something wrong. No, that's not what's happening though. Like, these people are finding out over and over again that actually they deserve it. They deserve the bad things that are happening to them. It sucks, but it's true. And finally, money. And this is a pretty direct message. Expect some kind of windfall coming in. I am currently right outside of the holiday season. It's December 1st, in fact, on my recording list. I am right outside of the holiday season. This reading is timeless, but the next season of your life, literal season of your life, summer, winter, spring, autumn, whatever season is coming up next, expect some kind of gift, expect some kind of windfall, expect something to expect some kind of karmic balance for all of the really horrible things that we've been talking about here. Like, part of your karma is the fact that people are going through their karma right now, but good karma isn't just when bad karma happens to other people, right? Like, expect good rewards to be coming into you soon. For a lot of you, that's going to be actual physical cash, especially if there were people who stole from you, especially if there was theft of some kind that happened in your very recent history, or if you are recovering from some kind of like serious theft from someone who you trusted, especially. And journey at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, expect an ending to happen. Expect some kind of ending to be confirmed soon for the last chapter of your life. I do get the sense here that you guys are wrapping up a chapter where there were maybe not so great people in your life. You're coming to the end of a chapter where you've been purging out a bunch of really terrible things that might have happened because of some not so great people. expect expect a gift and a reward to come to you for getting through this part of your life. Expect some kind of gift to come in for making it through. All right, guys, that is what I've got for you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope it was fun. I hope it was enlightening. I will see you next time. Bye. All right, and we are on pile number 3 with the 9 of spades. So already what I'm getting is that you don't let your fears keep you back. One of your talents is that regardless of how you're feeling, you don't let it affect how you're willing to charge bravely into whatever circumstances are waiting for you. Definitely a strong Plutonian energy. This is the energy of someone who is constantly making big changes in your life. You're constantly transforming. You're not afraid to make really drastic, bold moves in your life. And those kinds of risks pay off for you. I do get the sense here that those kinds of risks pay off for you. I think it's been surprising to people in your life before too. Like, you've caught people off guard with how well you've done in circumstances where everyone felt that there was no way you'd be able to come out on top. What more can we know about your talents? Definitely the energy of someone who moves in silence. When you come out onto the scene, you are constantly surprising people with what you bring to the table. I think that's part of why you have such strong Plutonian vibes about you. It might not be that you're constantly transforming so much as the fact that, like, every time you come back, you feel like you're someone new. Like, you're very good at both being extroverted and being introverted. You have very, very good balance between those two sides of yourself. You know when to pull into yourself when you need quiet time and when you need to be in an introverted space. And you know how to be fun and you know how to be the life of the party and you know how to be on the scene when it's time for you to be on the scene. And the Ten of Cups. Yeah, people love that about you too. You're definitely someone very, very well loved. I'm getting the sense of someone popular, like someone who's literally very popular. Also, someone who's very good at taking care of people. You're someone who's very, very good at taking care of the people around you and the people who you care about. Strong mother vibes, strong, like, mothering vibes. People look to you for comfort, people look to you for care, and people look to you for advice too. People definitely look up to you. It comes with being someone who is constantly transforming and someone who has constantly transformed. You're likely someone who's been through a lot. It might be a part of your very public image that you've been through a lot. You have a lot of experiences, like literal experiences under your belt. And people look up to you for it. People feel like you're someone who they can talk to get advice, and people feel like you will give them advice and you won't treat them like they're idiots for asking, basically. People trust you to treat them kindly if they come to you for advice. And we've got the Five of Cups, and people definitely come to you for both advice and comfort. You're definitely someone who people come to for comfort. You're someone who's capable of looking on the bright side of things without being overly optimistic or toxically positive, especially when someone's still going through those situations. Because there's really nothing worse, right, than going to someone when you're in a really bad spot and having them be like, well, just look on the bright side, just forget about all of the bad things, right? Like, there's nothing worse than having someone just invalidate your feelings when you're in a really, really delicate spot. You're not like that, and people trust you not to be like that. One of your talents is that you're very good at making people feel loved. You're very good at making people feel like family. The Ten of Cups has very strong family vibes, even in the sense of a literal found family in this card. Like, there's strong family energy that comes with you. You make people feel comfortable. You make people feel loved. And the Knight of Wands. And you're very good at getting people out there again. The Five of Cups, there's something very, very glass half full about the actual card, right? In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, it's depicted by a man who is facing three cups that have been knocked over, and what he needs to do is turn around and see the fact that there are two cups behind him that are still standing. You are very, very good at gently turning the people around to see the fact that there are still cups behind them that are standing, that not everything has been knocked over. You're very good at reminding people that there's still so much in life to be grateful for, and there's still so much in life to be thankful for. And people look to you for that kind of guidance. The Knight of Wands in this deck is depicted by the literal lamplighter. People look to you for that kind of light. They see you as that kind of light bearer, as that kind of light bringer. When people are in very dark spots in their life, they look to you for guidance. strong mentor energy here. People hold you on a people hold you in really high regard. People hold you on kind of a pedestal. You may have had issues in the past with people holding you on a little bit of a pedestal. There is a sense here that people kind of there are people who take your word as like gospel, whether that's in like just general personal life, or if it's like actual literal advice. People take your word as gospel. There are people who take your word as gospel. And we've got the Four of Swords, and it's because you make everything that you do look so easy. You make it all look so easy. The Four of Swords is also indicative of the fact that you're really good, again, at pulling back your energy when you need to. So it's not so much that it is easy. It's just that it looks that way because you know when to expend energy and when to take it back and actually like go into yourself for healing moments. You're very, very good at balancing your time and energy, basically. And I think people can misunderstand that as you just having an easy time in life, or you having a really easy time with the hardships that can come your way. And it makes people wonder what your secret is. It makes people look to you for advice on everything. It makes people take all of your words as gospel because they think if they can soak in all of the knowledge that you give them, then it'll be easy for them like it is for you. What a lot of people don't seem to understand is that it's not necessarily that it's easy. It's just that you know yourself very well. You have a very firm grasp on yourself. So you know when it's capable for you to be out there, and you know when you have to pull back and be a little bit more introverted, go into hiding a little bit. And we've got the Nine of Wands, and it's because you've experienced a lot. The Nine of Wands speaks of experience. The Nine of Wands specifically speaks of experiences that have been hard won. You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot in life, and one of your talents is that you learn your lessons. That always feels like such a weird thing to list as a talent, but it is. It's so incredibly not common for people to learn their lessons the first time around. You're someone who learns your lessons. When you go through things, you internalize what you learn. That's how you learned when you needed to pull back, and when you know you can actually put in all of the energy that you have. You learned the lessons that your body and your mind taught you throughout your life. So now you know yourself. You know yourself very, very well. You're very in tune with yourself. You have a very strong intuition too, and it's likely because you are so in tune with yourself. It's really, I think, undervalued, the literal connection to like actual nature nowadays. It's recommended that if you are ever having trouble sleeping, for instance, a really great way to solve that is to get your like nightly rhythms back down pat by going camping for like a week and not taking any electronics with you. Your sleeping cycle will naturally sync up to the sun rising and the sun setting at night. That kind of connection to the world and to nature, I think that is part of how you have managed to get such a firm grasp on your intuition, because you have gotten a firm grasp on your actual physical body too. Like your intuition has sharpened as you have gotten more in touch and in tune with your body. It is definitely a talent. It's definitely one of those things that as we go on and as time moves forward, and as technology becomes more and more integrated into our lives, less and less people have this kind of talent. Less and less people recognize just how important having this kind of talent and putting that kind of effort into this kind of thing is. It's really, really great that you know that, and you are rewarded for that with both an intimate knowledge of yourself and very, very heightened intuition. and the Three of Wands. And this Three of Wands is specifically depicted by the little prince, like taking care of his planet. You're very, very good at taking care of yourself. Again, you're good at prioritizing yourself. You know when to prioritize yourself. You know when to prioritize your own healing. You know when to prioritize your own peace of mind. And you're rewarded for that, again, with both good health and good intuition, like strong, powerful, sharpened intuition. You definitely look healthy. Health comes out right there. You definitely look healthy. People find you, if even if you aren't, even if you actually have health problems, people find you to look very, very healthy. People from outside looking in think that you are an incredibly healthy person. Definitely someone who like eats well, sleeps well, takes really good care of themselves. And I think part of it is because people know that you prioritize yourself, and they assume that people who prioritize themselves also prioritize their health. What more can we know about your talents and gifts? And we've got brown bears. Solitary, misunderstood, glutton. Yeah, solitary sticks out the most there. There's definitely the sense here that you can come off as a very hard to get to know person. And it's because there's almost a mysterious, like mystical vibe about you. When people are very in tune with themselves and very in tune with nature, especially if you're openly spiritual, people just kind of assume that you're a very mystical person, right? There's this sense of mysticism that surrounds you and the sense of mystery that surrounds you. People have a lot of questions about you. People have a whole lot of questions about you, and people aren't sure if you would welcome those questions. You're a very, very hard person to read, and it's part of why you're so difficult to get to know. I think you can come off as very, very intimidating. Brown bears are very intimidating despite being big dogs sometimes when they've acclimated to human beings. Like, you can come off as very, very intimidating, and it makes it difficult for people to know how to approach you, especially if they want any kind of advice, if they want to get to be within your inner circle. Because again, wrapping back to that fact that like you're someone who, one of your well-known talents is that you're really great at comforting people. You're really great at making people feel comforted. Like, the fact that you come off as like intimidating can be kind of a shell shock for a lot of people, because they want to get within your inner circle. They want that mama bear energy that can come with you, but they don't know how to get close to you. There's definitely the sense that like there's a little bit of a boundary between you and the outside world. And we've got dog. Territorial, easily fooled, and easily attached. So territorial, again, there's a little bit of a boundary between you and the outside world. And I think it's because you've had maybe not the best experiences with other people. Easily fooled and easily attached both lean towards this idea that you haven't had the best experiences with people. People have maybe taken advantage of the fact that you're a very loyal person. And you prioritize the people in your life when you care about them. Like, you're someone who, when you find someone to be family, when you have decided that someone is a person that you really care about, you prioritize them to the point where they might be one of the only people and only things that are more important to you than your own well-being. And that can make being betrayed by these people, or that can make having these friendships or relationships fall out, be devastating. Feeling like these people took advantage of your willingness to put them over everything else in your life. So it can lead to being a little bit territorial of both yourself and like your pack almost. So it makes you a little bit intimidating. It means that you come off as very protective. You come off as extremely protective of both the people in your inner circle and your personal space. And we've got werewolf. Rabid temper, easily provoked, snappy. Yeah, you can be very, very dangerous when provoked, basically. Like, you're someone who people know not to, I'm getting trifle with. Like, people know that as wonderful as you can be, as kind as you can be, as comforting as you can be, as optimistic as you can be, you are not someone who takes insult or slight lying down. You're not someone who likes being taken advantage of, and you're not someone who appreciates having your kindness be taken for weakness. Like, there's definitely this sense here that there are people who have tried and tested you and realized far too late that, like, they shouldn't have like realized far too late that they've made a very, very grave error in assuming that just because you're someone who cares about other people, and just because you're someone who can be really, really kind and comforting to the people who you care about, doesn't mean that you're not someone who will also bite someone's head off for talking to you the wrong way. Again, that strong sense of balance, both externally and internally. You have a really good grasp of the different sides of yourself. You're not someone who has to be kind all the time. You're not someone who identifies yourself with one specific personality type. Like, you're a very, very multifaceted human being, and you come off that way. You come off as someone who is very, very complex. That's part of what makes you intimidating. You're not an easy person to read. And especially when people don't have the best intentions, they prefer easy to read people. Right. What more can we know, please, about what your talents are? And we've got the goldfish, short attention span, misunderstood, often gossiped about. So misunderstood is coming out here again, and it's the cap for this line too. Brown bear and goldfish both had misunderstood on them. And with often gossiped about here, I do get the sense again that we're doubling down on the fact that people are very intimidated by you. People are very intimidated about you, and I get less that it's gossip and more that it's people who literally ask around about you. You're just a very difficult person to read. You're a very, very hard person to read. And when people are trying to get close to you, they don't want to risk insulting you in the process. Like, they don't want to, if people are actually trying to get close to you, if people are actually trying to get to know you, they try to put in the effort to actually doing background checking, and they try to put in the effort to like actually doing legwork to seeing what they can find out about you, because they don't want to risk insulting you the second that they open their mouths. You're a very, very hard person to read. And between that and the intimidation that comes with that, people go out of their way to try and make sure that they know as much about you as possible before approaching you. And we've got penguin, territorial, curious, and weak constitution. So territorial stands out there more than anything else. Again, you are very, very protective. It's a part of not just like your general reputation even. Like, people know you as someone who is very protective of the people that you care about. You're very protective of, and that includes yourself. Like, you also care about yourself. You're very protective of your personal space as well. And you're very, very protective of who you'll allow into your personal circle. Weak constitution stands out there. There's a sense here that you might have had to get through a illness at one point in your life, like, or you might have a issue with chronic illnesses. This might be part of why you're so good at understanding when you need to like rest and when you need to draw back and save your energy. You're someone who it it genuinely is a talent to know your limits, to know when you need to rest, to know when you have been overworking yourself. Like, there's a sense here that you have been put in positions before where you have had to learn your limits and had to acknowledge your limits. And because of that, you aren't afraid to anymore. You know when you're at your limit. You know when you really need to pull back your energy. What more can we know, please, about your talents? Some of you are very good at singing. Maybe music in general, but I'm getting singing specifically. Some of you have talent with singing. Some of you have talent with your voice. We've got falseness. Fake it till you make it energy. Falseness is always fake it till you make it energy with me. I get the sense that you don't care that you are misunderstood. I get the sense that you might even like being someone who is rather intimidating. And it's because you faced not so great people in the past. Again, you're someone who is very protective of your space, and you're someone who's very protective of the people that you're close to. So in that regard, it's not the worst thing in the world that people are a little bit intimidated by you. Like, you are someone who naturally repels people who maybe don't have the best intentions towards you. And it's definitely a gift of yours. It feels, in fact, almost like having honed a sort of weapon. The aura that you have, it's almost like you have honed a sort of weapon. You repel negative energy with your own energies. It's definitely the sense here that you you might have a very powerful like spiritual team too. There's a strong sense here that you naturally repel people who, and not naturally, see, naturally is not the best word for it because it wasn't always the case. It's their sense that you have honed yourself into your aura, into this kind of weapon that repels people who do not have good intentions from you. Like, if people are approaching you with bad intentions and with bad vibes, I get the sense that you're one of those people who they don't want to get close to. Like, they don't really want to be around you because you can sense it, and they can sense that you're not someone who will put up with that. Enemy. Yeah, with the enemy looking at falseness even. Like, people are so, like, people are so intimidated by you. Like, there are people who are so intimidated by you, they wouldn't even talk poorly about you. I think that's part of what the gossip thing, that's part of why gossip didn't necessarily mean gossip. I don't think that you're someone who people like to talk badly about, because when people do talk badly about you, bad things happen to them. Like, there's a sense here that people have actually seen it happen. Like, people have actually been witness to someone in the vicinity saying something negative about you, or like bringing up your name in a bad manner, or saying something that they shouldn't be saying about you, and it comes back to bite them. It's something that comes back to very negatively impact them later. There are people who have actually seen this happen. There are people within your circle, in fact, I feel, who have seen this happen to other people, who have talked negatively about you, or who have talked about you behind your back. People have seen bad things happen to people who come at you sideways. It's extremely powerful energy, and because of that, people don't talk badly about you anymore. People know to watch their mouths, especially if people try to talk badly about you. I get the sense that there are people who are like, don't involve me. Like, I don't want any crossfire, don't involve me. Like, there's something very powerful about your energy, and there is a sense that you have a very, very powerful spiritual team looking out for you. Prison. All three of these, more than anything else, there's this vibe here that people they don't prosper when they go against you. They do not prosper when they go against you. No weapon forged against me shall prosper. People have seen incredibly negative things happen to themselves because they have come at you sideways. It is a part of your actual reputation at this point that when people have bad things to say about you, they should probably just shut their mouths, because bad things will happen to them if they keep talking. And the wife. And it's really funny because you haven't... And, okay, the wife also very cleanly points to the fact that people find you to be a very, very ideal partner. That, hilariously enough, seems to be the trend in all of the readings so far. You guys are all incredibly ideal partners. I guess that came through with the Two of Hearts, too, in the beginning of the reading. But with the wife coming out, people find you to be the ideal partner. And specifically with the wife coming out, I get part of your talents are, like, actual, literal, like, domestic work. Like, you might be really, really good at cooking. You might have a talent in cleaning. With a talent in singing, or a talented voice coming up sooner, or coming up earlier, that might have something to do with this too. Like, people enjoy being around you in a domestic sense. There's something very homey and comforting about you, wrapping back around to the fact that you're very comforting. Like, there's something very, very comforting about you. You have a strong talent in making people feel at home. You'd make a very good homemaker, and people see that in you. You'd make an ideal partner, and people think that you'd take really good care of them. People think that you take really good care of your family too, like an actual family. Any partner that you've had, regardless of how traditional you yourself are, I have a sense your partners have all fantasized about having actual families with you. You might have had to worry in the past about having someone trap you, like baby trap you. She has an actual child here. Like, you might have had to worry in the past of having someone try to lock you down like that before. Because people see you as, like, this ideal partner. People think that people know, they have no doubt that you would take care of your family, that you would take care of any child that you brought into this world. You might be really good with animals. There's a sense here that you're really good with both animals and kids. Just strong, pure being, or strong? I meant to say young. Young, pure beings. You yourself are a very strong person, though. And sorrow. Yeah, you've been through a lot. You yourself are a very strong person because you've been through a lot. Sorrow even mirrors the Five of Cups energy here. You've been through a lot, and that's how you know how to comfort other people. That's how you know, like, there's a sense that the things that you've been through made you stronger and made you more, like, helped you sharpen your talents. For instance, if you had a rough home life growing up and you had to cook for yourself a lot when you were growing up, there's a sense that that's part of why you're such an amazing cook now. If you're someone who had to raise your siblings growing up, there's a sense that that's why you are so good at caring for other people now, why people find you to be such a good caretaker now. Like, you have been through a lot, and you've learned the lessons that you've been through. I think I mentioned that towards the beginning of your reading even. Like, part of your talent is that you learn the lessons that you go through. You actually internalize the lessons that you get in life. Very, very rare. There are people who never learn their lessons, who spend their entire lives going through the exact same things over and over and over again because they never learn their lessons. And waiting. And ultimately, you're a very patient person. It's interesting that you'd wrap up on that too. You're a very patient person. It's why you are so good at taking care of other people. Because no one's perfect. No one's perfect. And despite the fact that no one's perfect, you are still the person who's always willing, when people are crying about things that happened to them because of stuff that they set into motion, you're not someone who will hold that against them. You're not someone who will be like, well, I told you so. You are a kind person who will actually bring them in and comfort them and make the people that you care about feel better. You're a very patient person. Patience is definitely a virtue, and it's a virtue that you have in spades. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you today. I hope it was fun. I hope it was enlightening. I will see you next time. Bye. All right, and last but certainly not least, pile 4 with the 6 of Hearts. Already I'm getting that you're the kind of person that people think that they've met in a past life. You might be the kind of person who people regularly say that you look familiar, or they swear that they've known you before, even though you've never met. Like, there's a sense that they know you in a past life. They're recognizing your energy. Energetically, they're recognizing you. So strong intuitive gifts already, strong spiritual gifts. You have strong spiritual talents. You might be someone who can remember parts of your past life, or you might be someone who has spiritual talents that you know you're very aware of. And this is confirmation that your talents lie spiritually. You have very strong spiritual talents, very powerful spiritual talents. The Queen of Swords popping out already, and the Queen of Swords is very Libra energy, and so you're also very, very intelligent. You're very articulate and very good with your words. Many of you might also have a really strong sense of justice. It might bother you when things aren't fair. All right. What more can we know, please, about your talents? The traditional Queen of Swords and the Rider-Waite deck has butterflies on her card too. Butterflies are coming to mind really strong right now. You are very good at transforming through hardships. You're very good at transmuting bad things into powerful changes in your life, basically. You're someone who transforms over and over and over again. You don't let bad things just happen to you. You let bad things transform you. You create yourself through bad things happening in your life. A very strong transformative energy. And the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords is indicative of Gemini. Between Libra and Gemini, this is really strong air energy. And air energy is, again, very, very good with words. You're very good with your words. And also very intuitive. There's something very spiritual about air energy. You are someone who has very powerful spiritual gifts. And I get the sense that you have a very protective spiritual team. Both of these swords, they are raising swords almost in defense of themselves. You have very powerful spiritual protection surrounding you. And the Magician, strong, powerful spiritual gifts. Your talents lie in the spiritual realm. You are a very, very powerful manifester. The Magician is someone who can make something out of nothing. You are someone who can create something out of absolutely nothing. Again, you don't just go through bad times. You take bad times and you let them transform you into something better. The energy of someone who, much like a clay pot in a kiln, You go through the fire and you come out on the other side polished and whole and new. You don't come out broken or burnt. You are a very, very powerful spiritual person, and you are very good at transforming through all of those spiritual moments. The Magician is also indicative of Mercury. Again, strong air energy here. There's a whole lot of air energy here. Sorry about that, guys. That was a phone call I had to take. Anyway, as I was saying, there's a whole lot of air energy here, which points to the fact, or points to the idea not just of spiritual gifts, but very specifically like claircognizance. Like, deja vu might be something that happens to you a whole lot. Like, things might happen and you might feel like they've happened before. You might have dreams that something will happen before it happens, or you might have dreams that give you some kind of clue that something is about to happen before it happens. Like, you might have someone who has a little bit of a gift of telling the future, almost. And the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Hearts came up at the very beginning of the reading with the collective reading. And the Two of Hearts is indicative of the Two of Cups. With the Two of Cups coming up again in your reading, and it's funny because this has been the theme for every single reading during this reading. You are the ideal partner. People see you as the ideal partner. Specifically with the Magician 1 to the Two of Cups, people see you as someone who would greatly improve their quality of life. Like, there's something about you that people assume will bring high value into their lives. You have very, very high value surrounding you. People assume that there is something very valuable about you when they look at you. I'm getting, even just like off of like strangers looking at you, there's something that looks very, very valuable about you. You definitely have a talent for putting your best foot forward. You're one of those people who you really like to look your best, probably. You definitely come off as someone who always does look your best. Again, with the one Magician to the Two of Cups, people don't only think that having you would be having the ideal partner. People feel like having you in their lives would be like having a prize of some sort. Like, people feel like you would be some kind of prize. Strong, almost like trophy wife, trophy husband vibes. Like, there are definitely people who feel like it would be reward enough just to have you on their arm. I think there's this sense that, like, you're someone who would be hard to catch, just in general. You would be someone who is very, very difficult to catch. So getting you as a partner is in and of itself actually a prize. It is something to be very proud of yourself of. It is something that people should be very proud of themselves of, just getting you as a partner. Notice how in the Knight of Swords, the knight is actually chasing the fox. Like, you are someone who people chase. I feel like people, whether you realize it or not, people chase after your attention, people chase after your notice. Like, you're someone who people actively look for validation from. You're someone who people actively look for acknowledgement and attention from. It's actually kind of funny. Like, there's a sense here that you don't see it, though. Like, you are so focused. Look at how the queen is focused on her book. Like, there's a sense here that you are so focused on doing your own thing and manifesting your own reality into existence that you don't notice just how much people want you around you. You don't realize just how, like, appealing you are to the people around you, just how many people are actively chasing after your notice. And the Three of Wands. So this Three of Wands is indicated, or is depicted by the little prince taking care of his planet. You're someone who's very good at taking care of yourself. Again, with this idea that you are you're someone who likes to put your best foot forward. You're someone that doesn't like being caught off guard. You're someone that doesn't like people seeing you when you're like at your low points in life. And now it's the one magician to the 2 cups to the 3 of wands. Like, people definitely think that you would bring high value to their lives. And people see you as someone who progresses very, very quickly within your own life. Again, people, whether I get the sense that you're one of those people that has convinced people who are skeptical of spiritual practices, especially if you're openly into like magic or like any kind of manifestation. You've convinced people who were skeptical of it before to at least give it a shot, or at least like think of it as a serious possibility, because they see how quickly you progress in your life, and there's just no denying the results. I'm so sorry. My throat has been so choked up, especially for your portion of this reading for some reason. Again, people have had to like actually eat their words. Like, I get the feeling that there have been people who have been like openly skeptical about things that you believe in, or openly skeptical about the kind of things that you do, and they've had to actually eat their words because you are just proof that there must be something behind what you do. Like, you progress so quickly in life and things work out so quickly for you that there's this, and if not quickly, dramatically. For some of you, it's even both. Like, there's people see miracles happen in your life, and there's just no denying it. There's no denying the fact that there must be something to what you're saying and something to what you're doing, because the proof is in the pudding. Like, you have actual results that speak for themselves. And we've got the Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. And you're a hard worker. Ultimately, the reason why you are so blessed spiritually is because you are so willing to work hard in the physical realm for those blessings. Like, I get the feeling that you're someone who you sharpen your spiritual gifts to. You weren't just born with spiritual gifts. You were someone who was born with a leaning towards spiritual gifts, and you took those and you really did hone them and you really did sharpen them. You really did turn your spirituality into a sort of weapon that you can use, and a sort of tool that you can use. Weapon might be too harsh a word. Tool is a better word for it. Into a sort of tool that you can actually use and actually take advantage of. Hard worker. Hard worker, and someone who, despite how quickly you progress, you still think in the long term. And that is very obvious to people, because you never settle on anything. People have seen you reach milestones that, like, for other people, that would be the end. That would be the end goal. For you, though, it's just another milestone. It's just another thing that you've reached at the end of this one stage. Like, now you're on to the next thing. You're on to the brighter thing. You're on to the bigger thing. You know what I mean? Like, you are a very, very hard worker, even when you don't necessarily have to be working so hard anymore. Even after you've gotten out of the trenches, even now that you're at a point in your life where other people would maybe take it easy, you're not like that. That's just not how you operate. You have long-term goals in mind, and you're willing to put in all that work. You're someone who's very gifted, and part of why your gifts keep evolving is because you don't settle for anything. Like, you keep moving forward too. So your gifts evolve along with you. And we've got Griffin. Majestic and royal, intimidating and powerful, brave and forthright. All of those individual words, like, you're someone who's very, very, very intimidating. People find you to be very intimidating. And I think at least part of it is because people have watched bad things happen to people who have said or spoken up against you. You are you're very well protected. You're definitely a very well protected person in both the physical and the spiritual sense. You have a lot of admiration in this realm too. Like, there are a lot of people around you, whether you realize it or not, who look up to you a ton, especially if you're open about your spiritual practices. People see you as a mentor for that sort of thing in their lives. The Magician comes out at the exact middle of your 5-card reading. Like, people see you as a sort of beacon of information when it comes to spiritual practices. People see you as a kind of, almost as a kind of beacon of hope, honestly, when it comes to things like manifesting things into reality. I get the sense that your journey has been very, very dramatic. Like, you've gone through very, very dramatic chapter changes in your life, and that's been very public knowledge for people. People take a whole lot of inspiration off of the fact that you've come so far in life and you've managed to progress so far in life. And we've got the Jellyfish. Go with the flow, otherworldly, intuitive. Yep, intuitive coming up. I knew intuition was going to come up at least once out of these cards. Otherworldly and go with the flow. You managed to make it all look very easy too. You managed to make it all look very, very natural. And that's part of how people know that this was at least partially gifts that you were born with. Like, you... people do see you as a sort of like spiritual guru, as a sort of spiritual leader. People do take a lot of inspiration off of how you live your spiritual life. And I do get the sense that a lot of people think that it was like a position that you were born into. There's something very preordained, something very destined about how you are positioned spiritually. I'm so sorry, this lighting is just awful right now. But there is something very, very predestined about how your spiritual gifts are set up. It's definitely a part of your mission in this lifetime to be kind of like a beacon of spiritual hope to people. It's definitely a part of your mission in this lifetime to maybe change people's opinions on things like spiritual matters in this lifetime. Very big possibility that you've faced a lot of scrutiny in your work, basically. Like, you've had to prove yourself over and over again because people are skeptical about the things that you believe in and the ways that you operate and the ways that you work. Some of you might be like tarot card readers, some of you might be diviners, and some of you might make money off of all of this, off of like spiritual practices. So you might regularly have to deal with people who constantly second guess you and constantly accuse you of lying or constantly accuse you of making things up. Like, the spiritual path as a career is not an easy one to walk. It really just isn't. So there is a sense here that you have had to be very, very strong and very confident in your path. You've had to be very, very steady on your own 2 feet in your beliefs. And it's a part of your mission in this lifetime to be someone capable of being a kind of beacon of spiritual hope to other people. And we've got the Monkey. Social and popular, talented with the hands, athletic and clever. So athletic popping up lets me know that you are a very, especially, it comes up right over both the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Swords. You have a very nice body. Regardless of how that body looks, people find you to have a very, very attractive body. Knights are very athletic just in general, and the Queen of Swords the Queen of Swords is indicative of Libra. Libras are very, very graceful, and they're known to be very, very nicely proportioned as far as their appearances go. Regardless of how you look, though, people find you to have a very nice body. People think that your body matches you. People think that you wear your body type very well. talented with the hands. One of your talents is like, I'm getting music. Music has been really strong throughout this reading. I'm getting music for some of you, but just in general, there's a sense that you're very good with your hands. You have talent. You have talent with your hands. You're very kinetically talented. For a lot of you, you're artists, like creatives that work with your hands, that sculpt, maybe paint for some. Right, what more can we know, please, about what your talents are? And we've got demon, hedonistic, sensual, and self-indulgent, and octopus, intelligent, street smart, uniquely beautiful, eye-catching, and curiosity drawing. I shouldn't have read both of those at once. The fact that I did, though, lets me know people find you to be a lot to handle. There are definitely people who are very, very intimidated by you because they feel like you are someone who, one, is maybe a lot to handle, and that'll follow people with spiritual gifts. Whether people believe in the kind of gifts that you have initially or not, when people start, but maybe especially if they don't initially believe in the kinds of gifts that you have, when people start believing in them, there's a certain level of intimidation that comes with not totally understanding something that you still genuinely believe in. You know what I mean? there there is a sense that people find you to be intimidating because you are, it's a lot to take in, like the kind of gifts you have, the kind of way that you operate, the way that you live your life. There's a very alternative feeling about this. Like it can be a lot for people to take in, basically. But with the octopus, intelligent and street smart, there's definitely been more than one intelligent here. If not, you're very intelligent. I think I mentioned this at the very beginning. Yeah, with all of the air signs. Air signs are very cognitive. There's something very, it's part of why, like with the crown chakra, it's part of why spirituality comes along with the sense of air with the sense of air signs as well. There's also something very cognitive about them, very like logical about them. You are very intelligent. On top of being very, very spiritually gifted, you're also a very like logically intelligent person. And that's part of how you have such an easy time bridging that gap for people who are very, very logically minded, people who are very, very skeptical of like of mysticism, of those kinds of things. It's not hard for you to bridge that gap with people because you yourself are a very intelligent, well-spoken person. Like, unless people get to know you, it's not something that they guess that you are so spiritually gifted. You don't wear that kind of thing on your sleeve. And if you do wear that kind of thing on your sleeve, then it's the opposite way around. People are surprised when they find out that you are a very, very well educated, as far as like logically grounded. I'm having such a hard time speaking today. As far as logically grounded topics go, people are surprised either way. There's something about you that catches people off guard that they're not expecting in regards to how you think, and in regards to how your mind operates in both logical topics and spiritual topics. Even down to the fact that intelligent and street smart are both on the octopus, like both types of intelligence, right? Book smarts and street smarts, both types of intelligence, both spiritual and logical. You're very well balanced, and it's how you manage to bridge the gap for people who otherwise would be much more skeptical about things. And for demon, hedonistic, sensual, self-indulgent, there's something very, very intoxicating about your energy. There's something that people get very attached to in your energy. You're very addictive. You're very addictive, and that's also part of why people are willing to give the kinds of things that you talk about a little bit more of a shot because they're attracted to you. Ultimately, they're very attracted to you, again with that Two of Cups energy and that ideal partner energy. Like, people are very, very attracted to you. There's something very, very drawing about your energy and very, very intoxicating about your energy. And because of it, people are willing to give the kinds of things you say more of a shot because they don't want to count you out just yet. And we've got Phoenix, beautiful, mysterious, regenerative. So the demon, the octopus with uniquely beautiful, and the phoenix now with just flat out beautiful. You're a very, very physically attractive person. You are very, very physically attractive. Again, that's part of why people are willing to give the kinds of things you say a shot, because you yourself are very physically attractive, and people are just more willing to listen to people who they find to be pretty. That's just a hard truth in life, right? Like, people are just more willing to be open-minded when confronted with people who they like hearing speak and they like watching speak. You're a very, very attractive person. With 3 purple cards coming out too. Purple are my mystical cards. Those are mythical beasts and mythical animals. Again, you're very, very spiritually gifted. We keep wrapping back around to the fact that your gifts all lie in very spiritual manners. You are extremely spiritually gifted. And scholar coming out here now, but you're still very intelligent. This back and forth, you have very, very good balance. You're very spiritually gifted, and part of your destiny in this lifetime is likely to further other people's understanding of the spiritual world by also being someone who's very, very well spoken and very, very good at what you say. Faithful popped out here too, despite the fact that you're constantly faced with maybe skepticism, whether people are willing to take things that you say, like whether people are willing to listen to you or not, right? Like, people are often very skeptical about the things that you say, probably. And you are very faithful to your ideas. You're very faithful to who you are. You're very faithful to what you believe in. That's part of why your gifts keep growing, because you never forsake them. You're not someone who's ashamed of your gifts. You're not someone who's ashamed of the kind of things that you believe in. You don't turn your back on your beliefs, so your beliefs never turn their back on you. What more can we know, please, about your talents? And we've got the priest. Strong, strong spiritual gifts. I don't know if you've been maybe feeling like your spirituality has been kind of stagnant lately. That's definitely the sense that I'm getting right now. There's been a strong need this entire reading to remind you that you have very powerful spiritual gifts. I don't know if they've been feeling stagnant lately. I don't know if your spirituality has been feeling kind of like it doesn't fit right lately, or like things haven't been working out for you lately and you've been kind of like a bad place mentally or spiritually. You are getting a strong reminder here that you have very powerful spiritual gifts. Your gifts are definitely in strong spiritual spaces. If you need to, you should cleanse. Make sure to like cleanse your space regularly, to make sure to cleanse yourself regularly. Like, if you've been having issues with feeling like you are at the top of your game spiritually lately, it might be a really good idea for you to cleanse, because you're getting strong reminders here that you are not just very spiritually gifted, but also very spiritually sensitive. You might be very spiritually sensitive to things like spiritual warfare, like evil eye, or like bad mana, or anything like that. And we've got size. Yeah, clean, cleanse. Cleanse your area. You're definitely getting the reminder that is the double down. You're supposed to be cleansing. These spiritual gifts, they make you more sensitive to the spiritual nature of things in general. If you have been more in the material world lately and have had less time for like your spiritual well-being, you're being reminded to take some time and maybe give yourself the space to get yourself back into a really good spiritual mindset. And sorrow to cap it off. Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely the sense here that you have been going through a bit of a rough time recently. And more than anything, you need a reminder that you have so much power. You are so powerful, just in the sense of like where your mind can take you. Like, you have very, very powerful manifestation abilities. And so if you've been in a space recently where you've been having trouble remembering that, you're being guided to really sit down and recenter yourself mentally, and recenter yourself spiritually, and remind yourself that you are a very, very powerful person, and you have some very, very powerful gifts. And if there are people or things or circumstances that have been making you feel powerless lately, that is not the case. You are not powerless. You have power within you, and you were definitely gifted that by a very, very powerful spiritual team that is very much still on your side. And we've got fortune at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, you are gifted with these very, very powerful spiritual gifts. Don't forget that. In moments where you feel powerless, don't forget that you were given incredibly powerful spiritual gifts that have only been made more powerful as you've gone through your life, and you've honed them, and you've sharpened them, and you've become the badass person that you are today. If you need a reminder, if that is the reminder that you needed, this is your reminder that you are such a badass. Don't ever forget that. You are a very, very, very powerful person, and whatever you're going through right now, you will find your way on top of it. All right, loves, that is what I've got for you. I hope it was entertaining. I hope it was enlightening. I will see you next time. Bye.